Your teammates, other players, or the developers ruining Apex Legends for you? Are hopeless teammates leaving you in 1v3 situations? Or sweaty players dropping you into crazy situations only to find yourself playing solo when they die almost immediately? Do your teammates play Loot Simulator while you just want to get into the fight? Or are they rushing off crazily when you don't even have a gun? Do you love the game, but the developers are ruining it with skill-based matchmaking, sound bugs, or nerfing your favorite character? In this video, I'm going to discuss how the solution to these problems may have more to do with a change in perspective and a little empathy. I'm Duncanus, and welcome to Boomer Gaming, where I discuss all things gaming related from the perspective of a professional software developer who's been gaming since the 70s. If you like this video, please don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to be notified when I post more videos. If you agree or disagree with what I'm saying in this video, please post your comments below. I read all comments and will respond as I can. Additionally, you can come by my Twitch channel and we can discuss this or any of my other videos in person. Or you can just hang out to watch an old gamer try to compete at Apex Legends. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday evenings from 7 p.m. and generally on Saturday evenings as well. So let's start off with the most common complaint that I hear on Reddit, and that's about, why does my teammate suck? The first thing you have to understand is that we all come to the game from different perspectives. You don't know if the person on the other end is young, old, experienced, completely new to the game. They might be having a bad day, might just be having a bad game, or maybe they're trying to complete a challenge or something like that. Thing is, we just don't really know what the person's motivations are when they're playing the game with us. If your expectation is your teammate is going to want to play the game exactly the way you do, whether they're going to contribute at the same level as you, then you're really doomed to disappointment. So I came to Apex Legends on the day of launch, having played very little first-person shooters over the last 20 years. And even then, it was just Counter-Strike back in 2000 on a local LAN. I'd spent most of the last 20 years playing MMORPGs, and when I came to Apex, I could barely shoot and move at the same time. I truly sucked at the game, but I was instantly hooked and loved it playing. I remember playing with some random teammates at one point, and they both went down. We were in Skulltown, and I had a wingman, and they watched me from their perspective try to hit someone with a wingman with 10 consecutive shots and miss every single shot, and went down. Of course, they let me know how crappy they thought I was, even though, admittedly, they were the ones who had gone down first. They clearly expected more out of this random player that they didn't even know. On the flip side, I played a game not long after that, where my teammates had 9 to 10 kills during the game, and I spent most of the game crawling around on the ground waiting for one of them to revive me. I made quite a few jokes about it at the time on the voice chat, and in the end, one of the guys found it so amusing that he invited me to play with him again the next game. We played quite a few games together that day and ended up inviting him to my Discord. We became good friends. And as a result of that, we played together for a very long time afterwards. And even though he had other players that he could play with who were much better than with me, he just enjoyed the fact that we had fun together and we kind of played as a team. The point of all this is when you think of your teammate as an anonymous bot on the other end of an internet connection and not as someone trying to do their best, you set unrealistic expectations of what that person can do for you. Don't get me wrong, there's some terrible people out there, and some of them are not worth playing with. But if you give people a chance, you'll generally find they're better than you expect. By far the best way to humanize people is to have a microphone and to use it. If you have a good game with somebody, invite them to play a couple more with you. If that works out well, then maybe invite them to be a friend, add them to your Discord channel, and then you'll slowly build up a list of people that you play with regularly. Once you get to know people and you have a regular group of friends, then you rarely have the issue of having to play with random people. Of course, I find that even though I have well over 100 people in my Discord and almost always have someone I can play with, every now and again I like to play solo just to see if I might find another friend. Even once you do start playing with friends, it's important to realize that they may be seeing the combat in a completely different perspective to what you are. They may have information that you don't, or you may have some information that they don't that changes the way they make their decisions. Perhaps they're much better players than you. Perhaps the computer didn't play a sound on their machine that you clearly heard on yours. Or maybe they're just not as good at processing multiple inputs as you are. Also, when you're down, things may seem a lot clearer to you without all of the multiple inputs coming at a person who's actively trying to survive and shoot at somebody. All of these things can make it seem like a very different perspective from your side to what they experienced on their end. And showing frustration when somebody maybe doesn't finish off a kill that you thought they should have easily got, or accidentally looted your crate, all of these things can happen in the heat of the moment without any intent of malice. It's important to realize that your teammates, whether friends or anonymous players, may have different goals than you. They may have challenges they want to complete, or perhaps they're just more comfortable with a sniper than playing up close. They may not have the confidence to push the way that you do, or the experience to make instinctive decisions. So try to give your teammates a break and assume their intentions are good. You'll probably find you'll be a lot less frustrated with the decisions that they make and the actions that they take. Something that I find endlessly amusing is when my friends get frustrated with the behavior of enemy players. The constant cries of, why was that enemy team camping at the edge of the circle? Or why is that pussy sitting up there on the ledge with a sniper rifle shooting at us? The reality is this is just a selfish behavior from things not going the way you would like. How many times have you had a big fight, you win the fight, loot up, and just as you finish, the circle's starting to come close, and you happen to see some players coming out of the circle at low health, you finish them off. From your perspective, it was just an opportunity to get a quick, easy kill, and why wouldn't you take it? From their perspective, they feel like, was that team really just camping at the edge of the circle for 10 minutes waiting for us to come out? I also see people constantly crying about third parties, fourth parties, and yet 5 minutes later, they'll hear gunshots be, let's go third party those guys. It's kind of like somebody driving down the street in their car and being annoyed at a pedestrian crossing the road when they didn't expect. And then a couple of minutes later, they're out of their car and walking across the road in front of traffic. It's all a matter of perspective and where you're coming from. Games like Apex provide a huge array of interactions and possibilities, and it's simply not possible for one player to predict another player's motivations and actions at any given point in time. One of the things that I find very amusing is when a player gets killed by an enemy and then complains that the only reason that person killed them is because they didn't do the right thing. They didn't do as expected. They didn't play like an experienced player would play. Well, that person on the other end, maybe, isn't an experienced player and they legitimately did play in a different way, but hey, it worked for them. They won the fight, you didn't. The reality is that I often play with friends who are much better than me, so I end up in skill-based matchmaking lobbies where the other players are very, very good. And I know that if I don't hit my shots and quickly take the other person out, they'll probably destroy me very quickly. The funny thing is that when I then come back to play solo by myself and the games are much easier, even though I'm probably much better than a lot of the people I go up against, I get into that mindset of thinking that I have to kill them very quickly. So for the first couple of games, I make poor decisions where I try to rush the shots and get the kill quickly, when I would have been much better off just taking the time, hitting my shots and looking to avoid being shot by the other player, especially since there's a good chance they're going to have trouble hitting me if I'm already moving. So let's turn our attention to one of the most targeted groups of people when it comes to complaints about the game, and that's the developers. The number of times that I hear that the developers don't care about the game or they've given up trying to make it better is just astounding. One thing that I can promise you is that most people who work in game development are very passionate about what they do and they love the game that they're working on. The reality is that while programmers make pretty good money by the average person's standards, they could almost always make a lot more money if they were to work in pretty much any other kind of software development. Game developers are very passionate about what they do, and building games at this scale is very challenging. Look, the reality is that on any large development team, there's going to be some people who aren't very good developers, and they'll make bad decisions and maybe put a bug into the code that they shouldn't do, or make a bad design choice. Also, decisions are made early on in the development of a game based on the direction the game is going or the requirements at that point in time. As the project evolves, these decisions can create huge constraints on the ability to add a new feature or fix a bug. Game development engines are very complex pieces of code that take many years to develop. As a result, many game development companies use existing engines and build their game on top of that. While this is enormously efficient and makes it easier to get the game developed in a reasonable time frame, it also provides yet another constraint on top of the software development process. This is very efficient, but it also means a lot of baggage can carry over from game to game. A developer working on Apex may have to live with decisions that were made over 10 years ago. A software company has three main goals in place when making decisions about what features to add and what bugs to work on in the game. The first is that the game has to make money. If it doesn't do that, we don't have a game to play. The second is they're looking to make the game fun for the players. This is important in making sure the first thing happens. The third thing is the game has to be sustainable. This is all about being able to maintain the code base, keep it stable, eliminate as many bugs as possible, and also add new content in a way that's efficient and effective so that you're able to do so in a way that, once again, allows the game to make money. All of this is especially true in a live game, which has to evolve over a period of weeks and months and may have to sustain this pace for many years to come. Well, I don't always agree with the decisions that Respawn makes with things like skill-based matchmaking or the pricing of skins. I do know that their intent is to make those decisions as best they can based on the information that they have available to them. Often there's no one right way to do these things, and you'll never make everybody happy. I do feel confident, however, that they make these decisions with the best intentions for as many people as possible. I personally believe that Respawn's decision to use skill-based matchmaking is a poor one, even though their intent is to create a better experience for new players. I happen to believe that making the game easier for 80% of the players doesn't necessarily make the game a better experience for 80% of the players. There are many factors which go into the enjoyment of the game, and certainly being easy and able to kill people is not necessarily the only one. I do think that Apex believes strongly in skill-based matchmaking at the moment. My hope is that player feedback and future metrics will change their mind on this. I still don't think any less of them, though, for having this opinion. I just agree to disagree with them. I simply don't believe that a company builds a game like Apex Legends with an amazing backstory, user interface, and fantastic gameplay without having a passion for the game development. My final thoughts on this is that if you find a game that you really enjoy, it's important to humanize the people that you play with, against, and the people who are developing that experience if you don't want to become overly frustrated with that experience. The more selfish you are about your game experience, the more likely it is that that game experience will become a frustrated one where you will no longer enjoy the game. If you'd like to dig deeper into this topic or anything else game related, please join me on my Twitch channel on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday evenings. And keep on gaming.
10 seconds until the ring closes. Grab what you need and let's go. Recharging my shields.
Get pinched here. Back out so we don't get pinched.
Move now. Another squad's
There he is.
Incoming grenade.
Mr. Charge Rifle.
recharging shields. Healing.
Damn, that hurt.
Yeah.
That was a split second.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's round 6, no wonder.
Who's that guy?
Then you get people down on the left by that blue
Throwing
box.
jump drive.
Recharging shield.
Bounce back. Might have been for the best.
Recharging my shields.
1 minute until the fight ring closes.
Oh, how did he not go down?
Pulling up star. Recharging shields.
Reloading. 45 seconds until the ring closes. We've got time, but not much.
Oh, come on.
Reloading.
Almost killed him twice.
One more time.
Tossing thermite.
Go under there, go under there. They're fighting.
Huh? Go under where?
Right where they're at. I would.
Yeah, I threw a thermite. I was looking for...
Yeah.
The one went round to the left, didn't he? Yeah, there he is. That's who I'm looking for. That guy was the one I was worried about.
Oh, yeah.
If I went after them, he was going to be right behind me.
Recharging my shields.
Charge rifle Charlie, bro.
Yeah. See, him I'll
You got this,
push.
Duncan. Yeah, there's only one guy left. You got this. Or two
We're
guys,
all-
possibly. One left.
Taking fire.
I think I might have got turned in for cheating today. Been watching this for a long time, man. I headshot it for a long time. That was charging me and she
Can't
was
see him in the gas.
Down to
That's it, I think.
Taking fire. Target.
That's it.
Or it was.
Finish with a butt. 9.
Don't
He
get
got
some.
one of them. This one of the last 2. I think he actually got the knock.
Still. Oh, you got your 2K badge.
I did. Actually, that's my first 2K.